Good evening, folks. You want to talk about fantasy? Let's get rolling. You want to talk about football? Well, let's get rolling right then and there.
Keep it on, 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 keep.
In this section of the show, folks, I will be discussing 3 games. And each one of these associates will be assigned a game. They will have 2 minutes to break the game down, make their honest opinions, and make a valid point. This is called the 2-minute run. When this happens, we gotta go, go, and go.
All right, let's do this.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the first game that I really want to discuss, I actually want to assign it to Mike. And this game is actually the battle for New York supremacy between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants.
Alright, I got this one, Mike. I think this ended up being one of the most exciting games of the week, fellas. The Bills usually win by forcing the other teams to commit a lot of turnovers, but they weren't able to get Eli and the Giants to commit any this week. They also weren't able to stop Ahmad Bradshaw. He rushed for over 100 yards and had 3 rushing touchdowns, which was key in their victory. Going forward, the Bills have a lot of work to do. They got to make sure that Fitzpatrick can win a game and not have to rely on just Fred Jackson, who had another monster game. He had a total of over 150 yards of all-purpose yards, and he had a long 80-yard touchdown run. But it was a great game overall. Good to see the Bills lose.
All right, Michael, I actually really appreciate that input. It's, like I said, a lot of people coming into this, they kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, Fitzpatrick's faster, but then it's like, the Giants still got that rhythm, man. They still got that, what's the word for it, man? That mystique, Another game that I'm obviously interested because Calvin Johnson's also one of my favorite players. Jonathan, I actually want to assign you the San Francisco-Detroit Lions game.
Why, thank you very much, Mike. I am so happy you gave me this game.
My pleasure.
I just really want to brief this real quick. Alex Smith versus Stafford. No contest here. Stafford had the better game out of the 2. And even if the Detroit Lions lost, I mean, you gotta look at it like this. They're riding a huge amount of momentum. If you guys saw what happened after the game, obviously, ESPN's been highlighting it. They love to bring drama into the NFL. Schwartz and Harbaugh, obviously, we can get that talk later in the program maybe. But getting back to the game, honestly, I got 2 things to say about this, guys. San Francisco's defense helped a big, major way to win the game. And another aspect is Frank Gore. Because right now, Alex Smith is not getting into Crabtree as much as he should be. I mean, you compare Johnson and Crabtree, 77 yards to 113. Obviously, 2 different number 1 wide receivers with 2 different quarterbacks. Also, another aspect of this game that I noticed was the fact that Vernon Davis has been absent in the offense. And that's a big key for San Francisco. They need to get Vernon Davis back in the offense. They need to make him become that playmaker he's always been year in, year out. It's going to hurt fantasy owners, guys. It's going to really hurt fantasy owners. And we'll get to San Francisco potential pickups later on in the program.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, off to game 3. Now, obviously, everyone was psyched about this game. Obviously, New England. But the point is, though, I want to hand Pat's Cowboys game to Jeff. I want to know what he personally thinks.
Well, thank you for handing me that game, especially after last week's smack talk discussion about America's team and if the Patriots were America's new team. But we got to the point of that last week. Let's get to the point of the game this week. The point of the game this week was supposed to be Tom Brady and Wes Welker and company against the Cowboys defense and Tony Romo, a guy who's been riding a lot of mistakes lately, costing the Cowboys games, and his full healthy squad of Jason Witten, Des Bryant, Miles Austin against the Patriots defense who hasn't been able to really stop anyone. Now, heading into the game, we all thought this was going to be a high-scoring shootout, but we got the complete opposite. We got the Patriots attempting to run against the best run defense in the NFL, and you have the Cowboys who are facing this all of a sudden stout defense. I mean, you got Brandon Spikes making plays. You got no-name safeties, Igadibu, I don't even know how to pronounce it. He's making plays down on the field. But the story of the game remains. This was a good old-fashioned slugfest football game where each team was trying to get their best player the ball on the last drive, and I'm happy to say that the Patriots were able to give Brady the ball back with the game on the line with 2 minutes left. And I mean, something that's important to highlight here is that we haven't seen it come from behind victory since about 07 against the Ravens.
Yeah.
And Brady was able to pull it off, come from behind victory. I really want to give a big point out to, we stopped the Dallas run. We held it to about 70 yards. The Patriots were able to run as a committee to 101 yards against a Dallas defense that's the best in the league at stopping it. We were able to keep defense honest. Brady was able to make a few key throws, a few key third downs. I believe they converted about 8 out of 12 third downs on that game, which kept them very potent on third down, which is something different. But the big story here, guys, that's not the big story was the Patriots defense showed up to play against a really high-powered offense. Tony Romo did not make the mistakes. On the flip side, Brady made the mistakes, but like I highlighted earlier, the Patriots were able to give Mr. Cool, Mr. Clutch the ball at the end of the game to make that final drive.
I actually got back from before we were in time to watch the rest of the game. I'm just sitting there like, you know what? We only got 30. Someone was like, oh, 40 seconds left to go. I'm like, listen, don't say that, Patriots. We're in the end zone and you got Hernandez there. Yeah. And
It wasn't the big stat game.
No, it was a playoff game, guys. It was a great test.
And another funny thing, I actually got asked to go to that game, but I had a family gathering. I couldn't go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we return, we're going to talk about the top 5 players of the week and also the bottom of the barrel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to be discussing the top 5 players of the week and also the bottom of the barrel. Now, to my right, you have Michael, aka Mike. That sounds more cool. To my left, you have Jeffrey, aka Jeff, because that sounds more cool. Anyways, before we get rolling, I'm assuming every one of them has a player to pick. We're actually gonna see who wants to bite first. Michael?
You know what? I'll let Jeff get this one since he has a name that's gonna blow us all away, apparently.
Well, here's the thing. The name I'm gonna say as the first player, the most dominant player, only appeared in the stat line once. But I believe he was the most influential player in the most influential game this week, and I'm going to go with the name Albert Hainsworth. He only registered one stat, which was 1 QB hit, not a sack. But if you paid attention to the game in this slugfest, where, as I said before, the Patriots defense shocked the league by showing up and being stout. He was manhandling 3 offensive linemen. Andre Carter was able to get 2 sacks because Albert Hainsworth was able to blow up the middle of the Dallas offensive line. They weren't running when he was out there. Romo wasn't comfortable in the pocket when he was out there, and he set the tone for the Patriots defense being able to shut down the Dallas Cowboys offense.
Going with a defensive lineman as your top performer, one of your top performers of the week. Well, you know what? You left a lot of great names out there right now, and I'm going to go with a good young tight end out of New Orleans, a little under the radar right now, Jimmy Graham.
The man that I picked in my fantasy league.
Oh, you're a smart man. You're a smart man right here. And I'll tell you why. He went off for 7 catches and 124 yards last week. On the season, he has 39 receptions and over 600 yards. And he has 3 TDs. He's a tall tight end, and he's a definite red zone target for Drew Brees. Going forward, he's going to have great numbers this season, and next season everyone's going to be taking him before names like Dallas Clark or Antonio Gates.
All right.
I'll definitely agree with Mike on that. I just wanted to surprise the world a little bit with the Albert Hainsworth. And I'm going to go on to say, same team, just as good, Marcus Colston of the New Orleans Saints.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
He went to 7 receptions, 118 yards, 1 touchdown. Again, proven to be also, along with Jimmy Graham, one of Drew Brees' favorite targets. And can't go wrong with him. He's legitimate #1 receiver in fantasy, and he's ranked #1 in NFL and regular football. Got to give it up to New Orleans Saints for having a potent passing attack. Definitely got some interesting things going on in Pittsburgh. Definitely playing for smash mouth football, which they're known for. But I'm going to switch it up a little bit. bring out a name that maybe I personally never thought would make this discussion, but Jay Cutler of the Chicago Bears, 21 for 31.
My pick last year.
Two touchdowns, 267 yards. I mean, he didn't blow up the world, but it was, you know, if you had him as your starting quarterback, you definitely maybe woke up Monday morning with a nice smile on your face. Didn't expect him to make those kind of numbers, but hey, kudos to Jay Cutler.
He did.
And Frank Gore also is another running back that a lot of people, you know, have been down on him because he tends to be injured, but he's flying under the radar this season. He had 140 yards against a tough Lions defense with a long TD included. And on the season, he's got over 500 yards and 4 TDs, which is it's great to see out of him.
We are going to discuss the bottom of the barrel. Bow, bow, bow. Now, the way I look at it, who do you feel this week? I'm actually being all serious about this. The bottom of the barrel is the bottom of the barrel. Who is your first pick for the bottom of the barrel?
Well, I'm not going to make any secret about it. It's a guy I think I've been holding on for too long on my roster. His name's Mike Williams of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Something I talked about a little earlier.
Yeah.
Disappointed that they haven't really found a way to include him like they did last year in the offense. Last year he was a really, really good number 2. He's starting to make a push to be a number 1 fantasy wide receiver. And he's fallen out of contention. I mean, he only got me, I think, like 6 points last week. You can't hold on to him any longer. I have to make a decision. Maybe to stash him on the bench or let him go, but he's definitely not the wide receiver I thought he was going to be. He's a bottom feeder of not only this week, but probably to this point this season.
Speaking of wide receivers, another bottom feeder I think is Roddy White. Coming into the season, I know we all had great expectations on what he'd be able to do going into a brand new season with Julio Jones lining up on the other side. But last week he only had 2 catches for 21 yards, and on the season he only has 2 TDs. And that's a disappointment for a lot of people who drafted him in the second, or even some people drafted him in the first round. That's got to be disappointing. So yeah, he's another bottom of the barrel type player right there.
My next player is going to be a player that hopefully John JR took my advice a few episodes ago and didn't pick him up. Rex Grossman, 4 interceptions. Listen, in this league, you got to be named Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers to be able to get away with a 4 interception game and not be scrutinized, not possibly lose your starting job. Rex Grossman, not in that elite class, 4 interceptions. Redskins dropped a huge game, and I'm gonna put the loss on those 4 interceptions, on poor play by Rex Grossman, bottom feeder for the week. Sorry, Rex, but that's what you belong this week.
Yeah.
When you mentioned JR, I thought you were going to talk about Tebow for a second there. That's another story for a different segment later on. Jermichael Finley, 1 catch for 20 yards. Now, I know there's a lot of options out there, but on the season, he only has 23 catches for 231 yards with 3 TDs. And those 3 TDs came in 1 game. So he's another player who's been underperforming at the draft position that you would have taken.
Yeah. Another unmet expectation.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Exactly.
On our part.
Yeah.
Do you have another sad expectation that wasn't unmet?
I'll end my bottom feeders just like I started it with another wide receiver, and this one kind of hits home. Chad Ochocinco just cannot seem to get out on the field and make plays. Now, I mean, the Patriots today released a statement. Lots of the coaches saying that Ocho is just fine. He's on pace with what they expected. But as a fan of Ochocinco in Cincinnati, and as a fan of the Patriots, I expected him to come in and take the number 1 role spot. But come on, 0 catches.
Jeff, like I said, I know everyone has discussed our points, but the way I kind of look, and everyone's probably said this, but do you personally feel from him leaving one team is a really competitive team? You know, like a team that's stacked, you know?
I believe he just came into a system where perfection is demanded in the coaching. I need you guys all to say "I told you so" to me. I was high on Victor Cruz, but this week Victor Cruz did absolutely nothing for the Giants. Manningham, on the other hand, another guy who somebody else is talking about losing his.
Listen, I know you're not calling me out right now.
I was just as wrong as you were. I was just as wrong as you were.
I told you so.
Just as wrong as you were. I was just as wrong as you were.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the stardom set'em section of the show. Who are you gonna start, brother? And who are you gonna sit? Michael?
All right, well, I know a lot of you guys are worried because you got Tom Brady and you got Michael Vick on your team and they're on a bye week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a couple of QBs that are on the waiver wire. You can pick up, throw in your lineup right now, guaranteed win. First name, Tim Tebow. He's going up against the third worst defense in the league, the third worst pass defense in the league, in the Miami Dolphins. They allow an average of 26 points per week. So look for Tebow to come out and get you at least minimum 250 passing yards with a pass TD, maybe 50 yards rushing and another rush TD. Another QB that can start for you, Sam Bradford. Now he has a healthy Steven Jackson, finally, and they just got him a big play wide receiver that can stretch the field in Brandon Lloyd. Watch out for them to pull the upset this week against the boys. They don't know what's coming for them. Another couple of names, wide receiver wise you can go with. Definitely start any Kansas City receivers because Oakland has the 28th pass defense in the league. And another name you need to watch out for is Greg Little. He's officially a starter out in Cleveland. Colt McCoy is the next Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger. They're going to throw the ball all the time. So watch for Greg Little to get a lot of targets and get you a lot of fantasy points this week. As far as the sit-ems go, another quarterback you should definitely sit, if not cut from your team, Kevin Kolb, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we all know they have the vaunted defense, Woodley, Harrison. You got great linebackers that are going to get pressure on the QB. Kolb doesn't stand a chance this week. Mark Ingram, running back of the Saints. They pass the ball all the time, and I just can't stress that enough. Drew Brees uses the run on a minimal basis. He might get you 50 yards, but that's it. Sit him, keep him on your bench. Roddy White, another name that you should consider sitting. He hasn't really done much this season. He only had 2 catches for 21 yards last week, and he only has 2 TDs on the year. So keep him on your bench and replace him with a Greg Little or a Dwayne Bowe or even a Steve Preston.
This is our waiver wire section of the show. I thought I'd let these 3 start cracking at it.
All right.
Sorry, no, so that's a little dry humor. Quietness. All right, John, you know what? I'd love for you to mention your first pick.
I have 2 quarterbacks I'd like to mention real quick. One of them is Matt Castle. I know he's been mentioned a couple weeks here and there by Jeff and probably by Mike. He probably wants to admit it at some point, but he keeps riding the Alex Smith bandwagon. But I like Matt Castle this week. He seems, like Jeff said, he seems to be coming into his own now. He seems to be finding his groove again like he did last year. A great divisional game to make up last year's divisional game against Oakland, where obviously, guys, Matt Castle with the Chiefs, I believe, as I remember, lost one of those games, if not 2. But anyway, Matt Castle has Dwayne Bowe, which is a good sign. Yep. He has a great chance in Jackie Battle, who's another name I would get to later in the program. But I just like Castle's chances against the Oakland Raiders. They did pick up Gerard, but still, I think Kansas City, it's about their time to come through.
We also have to mention, going along with fantasy, a 10-league team and a 16-league team, waiver wire is going to be different. So you might luck out and have an Andy Dalton. You might have a Painter still lurking around, but in the deep leagues, those guys are more than likely taken. I think Becker's flown under the radar. No one's really known too much about him. Rex Grossman was the name in Washington, and kind of threw himself out of that position. And Becker.
If you're in a 12-team league, obviously these people are going to be obviously available higher up than, as Jeff mentioned, in a 16-team league. But anyways.
Yeah, well, another QB that I'd like to mention is Tim Tebow. John, I know you're very high on Tim Tebow. He now has the starting job all to himself, and he's going up against a Miami team that is really poor defensively against the pass. So I think that he can put up some solid numbers this week. I'll even go as far to say that my bold prediction of the week that he'll get over 300 yards passing, 75 yards rushing, and 2 TDs against a poor Miami defense. The fans in Denver want him, and he's going to show them what he can do. And also, now that I mentioned Denver, another name that you can pick up at the wide receiver position, Eric Decker. They just shipped Brandon Lloyd out of town, so that moves Eric Decker up to the number 1 receiver position. Look for him to get a lot more targets. Going forward is going to be a good, solid number 3, maybe even a possible number 2 option for you. Another receiver that I personally like, Greg Little. He's now officially the number 2 receiver out in Cleveland, guys. And Colt McCoy reminds me a lot of Brett Favre in the sense that he guns the ball a lot.
I'm going to roll off again. I like the Greg Little pick that Mike just brought up. One thing I'm going to disagree a little bit with is now I'm going to be leaning more on the pass. I think they drafted Hardesty high for a reason. Hardesty, I mean, Hillis got that job because of injuries, and now because of injuries, Hillis is out of the job. I know this is Hardesty's time to shine. If you don't have him yet, we've mentioned him a few times over the last few weeks. I think Hardesty is going to be a very serviceable waiver wire pickup, potentially lock onto your flex or number 2 running back as the season progresses. Real quickly, rolling with the deep leagues, I'm going to have to say 2 players. John touched on Jackie Battle. I think talked about him last week, had a bye this week, couldn't show his stuff. The Chiefs are a team that's going to try to protect Matt Castle in the run game and try to make big plays with Dwayne Bowe, and now another waiver wire pickup, keeping along with the common theme from last week, Stephen Preston.
Aurelius Ben, here's a guy, for instance, this guy, everyone outshone basically Mike Williams in one way or another. Maybe not in yards, but maybe in touchdowns. And Aurelius Ben is one of those guys. He got 3 looks compared to the 6 looks that Mike Williams got. He's put up 83 yards and a TD. I mean, Aurelius Ben is someone that might want to start watching for, rather. Another guy, I'm not really sold on him yet. I want to see what Tampa Bay brings to the table this coming week. But Parker is another guy that I think Josh Freeman might start connecting with. I just want to go off on a couple of tight ends. I don't really want to break it down like that. I just want to mention the names. Fred Davis, obviously, from Washington. With John Beck, he's going to be that serviceable. Here's another guy who, obviously, Beck was throwing to, and he was finding him. I mean, Davis, he got 95 yards on 6 looks. That's stats that, you can't frown upon, even in fantasy. Maybe not a touchdown this week, but maybe this coming week he gets a touchdown. Jake Ballard from New York. Obviously, Victor Cruz didn't get a game. Manningham had an okay game, but Ballard was obviously the lead tight end. And one more guy I want to mention, and I don't know where this impact is going to come because you still got Bernie Davis, but Welker from San Francisco. I don't know about this guy yet. He could be the viable replacement that San Francisco needs. He could also be a huge bust, so don't get too excited about Walker yet from San Francisco. Please don't. Just watch him.
Players to watch. Your eye on the ball, even though it's my ball, it's someone's ball. But anyways, players to watch this week. I want to roll with actually you.
Ernest Graham, my player to watch this week. Look for big things against the Bears this week.
You know what? Pass it to the next.
Mike, your player to watch.
All right. My player to watch this week is Greg Little. Look out for him to have a great game against the weak pass defense of the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said earlier, Colt McCoy, gunslinger. He's going to be looking down the field. Greg Little's going to be the man that he throws it to. John, I'll pass this to you.
I know you guys are going to sit here and you're going to wonder, you're going to be like, what? My player to watch this week, believe it or not, is Christian Ponder. Because I think, listen, just hear me out on this. I know I've talked to people already about this, and I'm guaranteeing this, by the way. This is a bold statement of my own. Christian Ponder, by the bye week, after the bye week, now it's done. And I honestly think, on top of that, while he doesn't put up bad numbers a game, I also think that his career is coming to an end, which means Christian Ponder is about to take off the headset. He's about to show what he can do. Obviously, he already put up his 9 for 17, 99 yards in his first appearance. I believe he rushed for a couple of yards, too, in that game against Chicago. But regardless, I think Christian Martin, he's my player to watch this week.
Well, when we return from the break, we are actually going to do Smack Talk. No holds barred. Me, I will get involved, but somewhat. The moment you've all been waiting for, our Smack Talk session. This is no holds barred. Now, one topic I want to get off my chest, and I'm going to throw the rod at somebody. Is he a competitor or a sore loser? Schwartz and Harbaugh. Jonathan, go!
Thank you. All right, so as you guys saw yesterday, and obviously today in the ESPN highlights, Schwartz, after losing the game to the San Francisco 49ers, and after Harbaugh getting all celebratory, which, you know, some people might say is, you know, of course is natural, but Schwartz obviously didn't want to have anything to do with it, and he went to shake his hand. Can I just demonstrate with you real quick? He went to shake his hand, and he did something like that. And it wasn't a congratulatory slap on the back. Now, he wasn't done with Harbaugh. Now, my point to this whole thing is, was Schwartz really a sore loser, or was he a fiery competitor? And I just want to go back to the Dallas game that Detroit did happen to win, guys. They happened to win it. And Schwartz, he didn't slap Des Bryant on the back, okay? But what he did was in a similar fashion. He gave him sort of a push that was really kind of like, you know, it wasn't really a congratulatory push. It wasn't something you give your friend like, hey, what's up? It was more like a push.
Get out.
Yeah. So, on that side, I want to argue that Schwartz was not a sore loser in this game, and that this seems to be a trend that he's developing to just bring fiery competition to his team to get them pumped up. Yes. Okay.
Someone.
I got this. Give me the football. Give me the football.
I have another point I want to bring into this.
Listen, this is my segment, all right? My segment of the Smack Talk.
He will have that rebuttal.
That's fine.
Schwartz definitely is a fiery competitor. You know, he's a winner. He's bringing the winning attitude back to the Lions, and he's showing it by that little interaction with what was his name? Harbaugh. By that little interaction with Harbaugh. You know, Harbaugh came at him in the wrong way. You know, he was in the middle of celebrating while he was giving Schwartz a handshake, which is just unprofessional. Yeah. You would never see Bill Belichick do something like what Harbaugh did. Belichick wins and he acts like he's been there. Harbaugh won and didn't act like he's been there.
He's got something. He's got something.
I do got a point about Harbaugh, by the way.
We got to steal.
It's your turn, though.
Now, what would you call that? That is an intentional shove.
Yeah.
That is not what Harbaugh did to Schwartz. Harbaugh was excited to beat one of the only two undefeated teams in the NFL. Gave him a strong handshake, gave him a strong pat in the back. I think Schwartz was a sore loser. But I do gotta agree with some of your points, both you guys, about Schwartz wanting to keep that fiery competitive edge in his team, even in the face of defeat. But I do believe it was a sore loser. And there's one thing I'm gonna have to say: don't bring Belichick into this conversation.
No. I promise.
Go.
First of all, I promise never to bring Belichick in this conversation, guys and audience, because we all know, and I'm not being biased, all right? We're all New England fans, but I'm not even being biased in saying this. Belichick is the model, act of a coach. He never gets angry, blah, blah, blah. All right, now getting besides that, I want to say on Harbaugh's part, this is a point I wanted to make too. He was no role model for, I understand it's natural to celebrate, but let's look at last year when Cleveland did that. And the point I want to bring up, and I don't think it's going to hurt San Francisco. I think it's good that they won a game that they should have won, basically, against the Detroit Lions. But what I'm saying is neither coach looked good in this situation. Honestly, neither coach looked good. And it's not a bad thing for the NFL. Honestly, I would have wanted to see a fight out of this, but I didn't get that. So, yeah.
Schwartz looked the worst, though, out of the two of them.
He did. Obviously, you don't want to go after coach.
Could have been worse. Could have been worse.
You're going in
Could
the
have been
same
worse. I mean, I know as coaches, you actually get more. You have to have love for professionals, and this isn't even. It's listen. It's just the fact of the matter. You don't see coaches do it. You just don't. What I'm saying, it could have been worse.
It could have been a lot worse, but as the coaches, you got to set an example for your team.
Yeah.
And I know you want your team to be fiery and competitive like you. You know, that's what Jim Schwartz was trying to get off. But when you go back at Jim Harbaugh after already having a confrontation, it doesn't look good on you. It doesn't look good on the league.
I just want to make one final point on this whole discussion, and that is in general with the Lions. I think honestly this year, and maybe years to come, and I think last year and the year before, I think it's good for them to have this fiery competition in general, because it's the kind of mentality that the Lions and the Bills even, and these underdog teams want to carry throughout the whole season. This in-your-face type of attitude. They're saying basically to any team, we're not going down without a fight, even if it's got to be physical. So that's what I want to say.
Now, I actually want to move on to another. Jeff, actually, no. I see an interception coming. I see an interception.
That's a handoff. That's a handoff. Don't fumble it. Don't fumble it.
You wanted to make a point. I saw the tip of
I just want to make a point that Schwartz, although I do respect the fiery competition, believe that on the field for the pregame, when you lose, you gotta learn how to be a good loser. You gotta be a good loser.
That's why Belichick is a role model citizen of the NFL right now.
That's why I have the ball and you don't.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Like that, like they were saying.
It's alright.
With the misexpectation, do not be better. Because glad you were able to join us on this section of Extreme Fantasy Junkies. If you'd like, you can follow us on Facebook at Extreme Fantasy Junkies, Twitter at Extreme Fantasy Junkies as well, and also our YouTube channel. Good night. Great game.
Take it out. That was a good one.
Oh.
Good job.